I am the 5-Minute Professor, and today's lecture is on the Galapagos Islands. Now, just a few lectures ago, we talked about the Galapagos Islands because of the Galapagos penguins, the only species of penguin that lives above the equator, but we'll find out just how close in just a couple of minutes. We really know about the Galapagos Islands, though, because of its association with Charles Darwin and his book on the origin of species. But Darwin was not terribly impressed with the islands when he visited for the first time in 1832 and spent 35 days there as part of his voyage with the HMS Beagle. He noted that animals seemed to vary from island to island in spite of their proximity to one another, but did not realize that the finches, which we now would call a tanager, were variations of the same species. He eventually figured that out and actually based on the origin of species on his notes, even though at the time he was not terribly impressed. The Galapagos is made up of 13 main islands that straddle the equator, stretching just 137 miles from north to south. So it is really the equator. Now, due to the shape of North and South America, the Galapagos are due south of New Orleans. The Galapagos did not have a population when discovered in 1535, and there never has been any discovery of any permanent settlements. So of all the places that Europeans have discovered, the Galapagos is one of them. That and Antarctica. Because you can't actually discover a place which has people living on it. I'm looking at you, Christopher Columbus, Leif Erikson. Better now. Ecuador annexed the Galapagos in 1832. During the Second World War, the U.S. made arrangements for an Army air base on Baltra Island. Soldiers, while they were there during the Second World War, wiped out a local population of land iguanas. The land version of the iguana is 3 to 5 feet long and weighs in at 25 pounds. Okay, it's no Gila monster. It's no monitor lizard, but it's still big. Too big. Too big for its own damn good, if you ask me. And the soldiers that were stationed on Baltra Island in the 1940s. The Galapagos is also home to a unique form of marine iguana. Now, smaller, 2 to 5 feet long, still big, but much lighter than the land giants. It only weighs about 3 pounds. The marine iguana eats seaweed that it gets from 30 feet deep. It's a 5-pound iguana, dives down 30 feet, gets seaweed, comes back up and eats it. On islands just covered with grass. Stupid. I'm telling you what, Darwin should have understood how stupid some species are. The Galapagos are home to several species of frigate birds and boobies. Yes, boobies. Including, of course, the blue-footed booby. The Galapagos are also home to the only penguins north of the equator, and as we pointed out, not terribly far north, since it's only 137 miles north to south, and it straddles the equator. Ecotourism is the primary business of the Galapagos Islands, although some of the 25,000 people who live there now are fisher folk who fish the relatively warm waters of the Galapagos. Since 1959, which was the centennial of the publishing of On the Origin of Species, 97.5% of the land mass of the Galapagos has been a national park, which is fantastic. That's just over 3,000 square miles. There are only 54 visitation sites on all of the islands and 64 underwater dive sites spread over a total of 17,000 square miles of land and ocean. Since 2008, the director of the Galapagos National Park has been the unfortunately named Victor Carrion, and some political unrest of Ecuador has made its way to the islands themselves. A group of fishermen protested what they viewed as overly protective restrictions on the harvesting of sea cucumbers. So what they did to protest was to kill protected land-based species, because nothing says, listen to my point of view, like killing protected species. The Galapagos were named in the 16th century. They were named in the 16th century in Spanish for the giant tortoises. So the Galapagos are named for the tortoises that are found there. They are the largest land animals of the Galapagos. They weigh an average of 880 pounds, and since they are such lumbering land creatures, each island has a different subspecies, and when the islands were accidentally discovered, about 500 miles due west of modern Ecuador, there were 250,000 tortoises. Pacific Ocean whalers would take 2 or 3 of these gigantic tortoises onto their whaling ships and then months down the road harvest them for the protein because they required so little upkeep. By 1970, there were only 3,000 Galapagos tortoises left. Dedicated conservation efforts have boosted the numbers to an estimated 19,000 by the year 2000. Perceptum, Quispium, Dametium. Learn something, damn it.
I'm the 5-Minute Professor, and thank you very much for listening to today's lesson. If you have any comments at all, please put them in the comments section down below. And of course, like it and subscribe to the channel. But most important, if you liked it, if you commented, and if you subscribed, tell your friends. Perceptum, Quispium, Dametium. Learn something, damn it.